Hello and welcome to Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Ryan.
I'm Melissa.
I'm other Ryan.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Kevin, and today we are doing a live playthrough of Alibi. This is from DV Games. Melissa, tell us a little bit about the game.
So this is kind of a murder mystery in a box. The box comes with 3 different scenarios. We are playing Murder on the Nile. Each one of us is a suspect, a character in the story, and we do not know who the murderer is. Not even the murderer, because that's not revealed till the end of the game. We're going to play 5 rounds. Each round we have a card with information on it that we need to relate to the other players and talk through. There's some secret information.
Keep talking.
There's some secret information that we have, and we're going to try to figure out who the murderer is. And try to figure out the gremlins in the video. Nice.
I remember this happening before. It was a weird button that Larry always pushed.
Yep. Larry.
Rebecca?
So what characters are we playing with today? Kevin.
Well, we'll do that after we do the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think we are back.
All right.
Back.
There we go.
Missing
Sweet.
Ryan.
Yes. All right. Let's read the story.
All right, now
So
I do
bright.
want to say that this is basically a one-time through story. So if you watch the whole video, you will know who the murderer is. But you could always watch part of it and just see how the game plays.
Melissa later will put timestamps in.
I will put timestamps for people who watch it later, so you can just watch a couple rounds. I'm going to start by reading the story, Murder on the Nile. It is the evening of Wednesday, March 17th, 1982. You are aboard the Excelsior, a magnificent boat traveling along the Nile. After having spent the day visiting the temples of Luxor and Karnak, the passengers witnessed the performance of the famous Alberto the Magical. And now they are in the restaurant chatting amiably. I can read. The topic of conversation is an embarrassing incident that took place during the performance of Alberto the Magical. During his magic act, the famous magician and fortune teller did not manage to perform his escapology act as he had planned.
It's a good act.
After asking a volunteer to chain his hands and feet, he should have surprised everyone by freeing himself with great skill.
It's amazing.
Unfortunately, the volunteer was Andre Tavernier, president of ASK, the Association of Skeptics, an expert in exposing magicians or those who claim to have magical powers. Because of his intervention, the show turned into a disaster, and the magician had to flee to his cabin, still tied up in chains. Suddenly, the evening takes another turn when tragic news is revealed. Mr. and Mrs. Tavernier have been found dead in their cabin.
Dun dun dun!
Most likely murdered. Giselle, Andre Tavernier's sister, raised the alarm because her brother didn't answer when she knocked on his door, even though she knew he was in the cabin with Laura, his wife. After an unsuccessful attempt to gain access, the cabin was locked from the inside.
Ooh.
The captain authorized the staff to force the bedroom window by passing through the adjoining balcony. Once inside, the sailors were met with an awful scene: the lifeless bodies of Andre Tavernier and his wife, Laura. Dun dun dun.
Here we go. Here are the victims that are now deceased.
They don't look lifeless.
They gone.
The ship's officers now take command of the situation, and after securing the crime scene, invite you all to retire to your cabins. The next morning, you are summoned by the officers because you are the people who had the closest relationships to the victims. You are gathered together in a room as they give you the news, and they believe this is indeed a homicide. Now you look at each other with suspicion because there are people among you who, for one reason or another, had strong resentments toward the victims,
Dun, dun, dun.
the Taverniers.
There you go.
All right. So at this point in the game, we sort of already did this. We're going to look at our character cards and read our backstory. Now, this is information that we don't necessarily share with other people, but helps us know what's going on. So why don't we go around and introduce who we are?
Melissa may have spilled the beans a little bit. That I am Alberto, the magical magician. And I have performed amazing acts throughout my tenured history of magicianry.
I am Valerie Fillet, and I'm a skeptic. I am also part of Ask.
Oh, I am Rami El Sharif. And I am the cruise director.
How can you drink at a time like this?
Put the glass out.
When should I not be drinking?
I am Giselle Tavernier. Andre was my brother,
Ooh.
but I am a psychic.
She is. She's a very amazing psychic.
Thank you. Thank you, Alberto.
My name is Carl Block. I am a cynic, and I'm here with Valerie.
All right. So now what do we do, Melissa?
Now
Giselle.
we each draw our round one card. It's going to have information that we have to share with the rest of the team or the people at the table, and it's going to have secret information that we only share if we are directly asked. Kevin's card, Alberto's card, has a star on it, so that means he will begin the round. But we'll take a few moments to read the cards, digest the information on them.
So as people are reading, if you're in the comments, you can ask us questions about our characters or what questions you would ask the different suspects throughout the show. And we might be able to answer some of your questions. This is riveting TV, I know.
This
As we
is-
read.
Yes. Alright, I think I'm ready. Are you all ready?
I think I'm ready.
And you can look at
It's a
the
lot of
you
information.
you can look at your card at any
Okay.
point, and you can even read it from your card if
now
you
there-
need to.
I think you mentioned this. There's information that we have to give, and there's information that we only give if people ask us. So, I have to give a lot of information, and I'm not going to give this information out. So, I will start.
And you do have to start with the top information.
Yes, I'm going to start because I'm the person with the star. So, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, I need your attention because I would have completed my famous escape trick called the Malaysian chains. And I would have done it blindfolded. But if it had not been for Andre, who volunteering replaced the padlock with a non-magical one.
That is such an awful
So
thing.
of course the trick failed. I'm sorry to hear about his death, but if you ask me, he was asking for it.
Oh.
He shouldn't have dabbled with the magical arts that he didn't believe in, things he didn't know about.
Yes, he shouldn't have touched the magical things.
He was your brother. Did you see this coming?
Poor Andre. He had a evil energy about him. His chakra was not aligned properly. It brought me so much displeasure when he embarrassed Alberto
It was an
that way.
embarrassment.
I followed my brother to his cabin. I was trying to chase away that negative energy that was just permeating all through him. And I wanted to make him understand that he had gone too far. But Andre ignored me completely like normal, and he closed the door in my face. That slam! Oh, it haunts me even even now. Oh, poor Andre.
Please don't slam the doors on my cruise ship. I don't want you to break anything.
I didn't slam it. Andre slammed
Yeah,
it.
he's dead now.
Okay. You should have seen that coming.
Yes.
Magic, what a joke. I was writing an important page of my latest play, and as soon as I put down my pen, I joined Valerie in the audience. The show had already started. She was at the table with Giselle and Andre, and those two always fighting.
Yes, I think punctuality is a virtue, and I was there at the show at 8 p.m. sharp. I wouldn't have missed any of it. I was in the dining room, and I was with Andre and Giselle.
But what about you and Andre, Valerie? You spent a lot of time with Andre, and Carl, I think, was a little paranoid about how much time you were spending with him. Can you answer any of that, Valerie? Were you spending too much time with the deceased?
Absolutely not.
See, I think Valerie has always been a bad influence on Andre. I mean, during the show, she was sitting there just smugly watching when he used his dirty tricks to ruin.
She probably knew
poor
all about it.
Alberto's
She probably
show.
was part of it.
Probably.
Were you, Valerie? Were you part of the scheme with the the skipping of the
I
padlock?
will admit I knew Andre very well,
Okay.
but at the same time, our relationship was over.
Okay. Oh, whoa! There was a relationship.
Well, you know, I saw Carl muttering something to Valerie, so he was looking very annoyed as well. So maybe things aren't going well there.
Is there something happening between you and Valerie, Carl?
Between me and Valerie?
Yeah.
She's my girlfriend, so
But maybe things aren't going as well as you had hoped.
I
plot
was
thickens.
annoyed by Valerie hanging out with Andre. He seemed like they may be more than just friends. Like a very good friend.
But we were at the show with Giselle, and you were there too. You just showed up a little late.
Were you now?
Now, where
Yes,
was
I said
Rami
that.
through all of this?
Yes, Mr. Director. Why didn't you stop this?
I, unfortunately, had other matters to attend to. I was unable to make my magician friend Alberto's show. However, after I heard about the fiasco, the disaster-tastrophe, I came to his cabin and I was able to console him. I helped take those horrid chains off of you. That was unfortunate. Had to find a key and a crowbar in that order.
You did join me in my cabin, but you were visibly upset, maybe a little tipsy, saying that this was the last straw. What did you mean by this was the last straw?
Andre was a horrid man. So his girlfriend, fiance, whatever relationship they had, she was okay. However, Andre was a horrible man. He has been making demands on my cruise.
Oh.
He has been making things much more difficult than they need to be.
Well, I agree with that.
Yes.
Very difficult.
Your brother was a tyrant, madam.
I agree.
So, but anyway, Mr. Andre, terrible human being. It is time for us to reveal clue number one.
Am I supposed to say the rest of the stuff on this card, though?
Yeah,
Okay.
bring it up in
It
conversation.
didn't come up, like, naturally.
Yeah, so bring
Unless
it,
You,
it's
like,
the
moved on.
secret. Unless it's the secret
unless
stuff.
it's a secret.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but we do have a
So-
clue
But we
card.
do have a clue, which I'll show to the side camera here. This is the layout of the ship. Excelsa, is that how we're saying it? Excelsa?
Excelsia?
There's
Excelsia?
there's no
Or
EI.
Excelsi?
I think it's Excelsa.
Sure.
Well, it's
There
my
you go.
ship, so I'm going to say Excelsa.
Excelsa. Anyway, we have the upper deck, and we have the cabin's deck, the main deck, and the lower deck. And it tells you where people were, where their rooms are. So, Alberto, the magnificent magical magician, that's me, was in room 203. Andre and Laura Tavernier, 206. Rami, 323. Carl Block and Valerie, you were in 332. And Giselle was in 334. So we can pass that around so people can see. All right, you have some things to add to the story,
Yes.
Carl.
But point of order on the game. So if you ask me for the secret information, I'm supposed to give it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I thought you were doing. And so I did. And then you're like, you're not supposed to say secret information. So I was
Only
like,
if you get asked.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
Just making
I
sure
don't
didn't
know
get
what
away.
I don't know what your secret
No, that's
information
fine.
is.
I'm just
No,
making
it's-
sure.
we don't
Because
know
I
your
was like,
secret
was I
information.
supposed to lie about it? I don't know.
No, if it's secret information that we ask about,
Okay.
we don't know what that is, but you have text there.
Yeah, good. Just
Okay.
making sure I understood.
Okay.
So,
Carl, don't be so
Valerie
cynical.
told me that Giselle is obsessed with magic, astrology, and other such nonsense, in case you weren't picking up on that.
I mean, is that
Because
I
any,
mean,
like,
it's people like Giselle that just want to throw their money at all the nonsense.
It's not nonsense, it's real magic.
I believe it. It is real. Alberto is a real magician.
Yeah.
Apart from when he was with Valerie, Andre was unbearable to be around. Mr. Rami knows this well, because throughout the
Indeed.
cruise, Andre harassed him with his constant complaints. The cruise director seemed rather annoyed.
Who complains about how their towels are folded? He has a very okay.
I mean,
had.
even on a cruise ship, they're the cool little animals usually, right?
What are you talking about?
Yes.
The corners are tucked in.
Yeah.
It's not as an. By all means, take this from me.
Cool.
Where were you during the performance, Rami?
Where was I?
Yeah.
I had other duties to attend to.
Can you tell us what those duties were?
Well, as the director of this cruise, I have many responsibilities, and sometimes they get quite taxing. So, in order to unwind, to give myself an opportunity to do a little something else with my time, I like to go to the casino and have myself a drink.
How many drinks?
I don't know if I can count that high.
I have nothing else to say currently. Does anybody else have any information they would like to share?
Or direct questions they would like to
or direct.
ask anyone?
Yeah.
Do we know where the magic show was taking place?
I think it's.
Was it the bar or the casino?
I do not know the answer to that. That's a good question. I'm assuming it's in the place where the magic show takes place.
Cool.
Someone may have asked this already, but Giselle, did you know what your brother was going to do? Were you in cahoots?
I would never disrupt a professional like Alberto and spew negative energy around the whole area.
Yeah, I believe her.
I would have stopped
Of
him
course you're
if
gonna
I
do
had
that.
known.
Okay.
Why don't we
I would
go to-
never be in cahoots.
We can go to round
with
2.
Andre.
And you can read your information. The person with the star, which I believe
I
is
have the star.
Giselle, she'll start the conversation for this one. Okay. Do we have any questions in the chat, Larry?
Not yet.
Okay.
And to be clear, we have to go top down.
No.
No.
Okay.
Only Melissa.
Only the person with the star
star.
has to read the
I was
top
like,
one.
yeah, I was trying to figure out how to come back to it in
Yeah.
conversation.
Sometimes the
Okay.
way the conversation goes, you're gonna.
I thought it was said top down, so that
She
makes
told
it a
me I
lot
had to go-
easier.
Yeah. So I had to do the top thing first.
If you have the
Cool.
star, you have to do the top one
Yeah.
to start out the round.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can do them in any order. You can even do half and then come back.
Cool.
Tell me how the clues work, Kevin.
Yep. So if you
If your card says.
if your card says reveal clue, once you say that paragraph of information, you say, oh, let's reveal clue, whatever. And if it's in the secret stuff at the bottom, you only would reveal a clue if someone asks you about that secret information.
Just do it smoothly like I did.
Hey! It's time to reveal clue 1. Is that what you said?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we do this.
Yeah.
All right, are you all ready, or do you want some more time to look at your?
I'm ready. Go for it, Melissa.
Oh. Past girlfriend, maybe.
After Andre closed the door in my face, I was about to leave. I was still angry at what he did to poor Alberto.
I'm traumatized.
And then I heard a thud inside the room. At first I didn't think anything of it, but then I remembered Andre's weak heart,
Oh.
and I panicked. I knocked several times, and he didn't answer the door, so then I ran to find Mr. Rami.
Indeed. So after I was finished helping Mr. Alberto out of his chains here,
I was perfectly able to free them myself.
yes.
But you were there to help.
Yes, with the key and the crowbar, in that order. And I wanted to give Mr. Andre a piece of my mind. That was the last straw. I've had enough. He wanted animal foldings with the towels like some people. Which is that's not this type of cruise. So, I'm on my way to give Mr. Andre a piece of my mind, and yes, I ran into Miss Giselle. She was quite distraught. She had just come from she was very concerned. He wasn't answering when she was knocking on the door. I, however, did not have my master key on me.
Oh.
I believe one of my, someone needed to use it. I don't know who.
You don't know where your master key is? Or was? Do you have it now?
I'm pretty sure it's back in my room.
Okay.
I haven't been back in my room because there's been so much mess cleaning up.
You were furious, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was agitated, to say the least.
When you came to help me with my chains, which like I said, could have easily gotten off by myself.
Indeed.
Of course you could.
You told me that you hadn't been doing too well lately. Can you expound on that at all, Rami? Why you weren't doing too well lately?
Why I haven't been doing too well?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes being at sea tosses the stomach around.
Okay.
Feel a little gross on the inside. So, I mean, that happens from time to time. However, as I was saying, we were unable to get the door open, and I did not have my master key on me. I alerted the captain so that we could get the door open, and instead he decided to force the window open. You know the rest, and I feel that this is time to reveal another clue.
Clue number
2.
Okay. Clue number 2 is a picture of the murder scene. We have Andre and Laura on the bed, so I'll put it over here so you can see it, and then I'll pass it around. So you can see that, there are some items around, and I will let everyone else see them, and then we will share with the group what we think about this scene. So we have...
Well, while people are looking at the scene, I said that I went in search for Rami. Well, while I was searching for him, I heard Carl and Valerie arguing. And I think if I remember correctly, they were arguing about Andre.
This was the first time I had met Andre, but I knew him well enough already. Valerie would often talk about him. He kept Valerie busy with the association until absurd hours. Who knows what they did until
So you're saying this is the first time you've met him, but Valerie's had a relationship with him in the past.
Because they're both part of Ask.
Are they? But is it more than that is what I'm asking.
Is it?
Are you asking the right person
Is
that
it-
question?
Yes, Valerie.
Well, I introduced Carl to Andre and Laura at the very beginning of this vacation. They had never met before, and Andre just went white in the face. It was not what I expected at all. I think he was still jealous of us breaking up.
Oh.
So, speaking of being white in the face, before the show, I saw you coming out of the Tavernier cabin, and you seemed rather agitated. Would you care to expound on what may have happened before said magic show?
Oh, before the magic show.
Well,
Indeed.
this whole vacation, I have been a little upset with the illusionist being very cheap
The illustrious illusionist.
and taking advantage of Giselle and her naivety.
Giselle, she's a woman of quick intuition.
You charge a lot of money and you do one-on-one sessions. Who knows what was going on?
Look, I did make her pay handsomely for the craft that I do as a magician, to read tarot cards, but not someone who's just doing magic tricks. This is real magic.
It is real magic.
And of course I need to get paid for doing this because it helps people like Giselle.
Aren't I paying you enough?
No.
He
I've
has charged
heard
me
that
a
he-
handsome sum as well.
Yeah, I've heard that he does apparently charge a lot for his private professional services.
Yeah.
Oh, so am I getting the unprofessional services?
You're getting the, not the private, you're
The
getting...
ones where you stay locked up?
And you've got to do all the work to free you.
That's right.
Key, crowbar, that
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Rami is questioning Valerie about the Taverniers. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Because
Mr. Mystique.
he never seems to miss a chance to pass by their suite. He seems very concerned about Laura's situation.
Oh,
And we are revealing
Whoa.
this clue. I don't know what it is, but
It is the outside of the room, sort of like a suite sort of thing. So we sort of see we see into the room, and oh yeah, sure, I can show it. Then we'll pass it around. So you can see there's a wine bottle with some wine glasses. There are keys on the ground. Are they your keys, Rami?
I'll need to see them.
Okay, well we'll pass this around, and you can look at them more closely under your magnifying glass.
So, to speak into what Mr. Carl here is saying, yes, I cared about Miss Laura. Let me see here.
How much did you care?
What did I leave?
I cared about her deeply. So, one, Andre,
Deeply.
your brother, terrible scoundrel, awful human being, and you should have seen that well in advance before the rest of us.
The card said it was the wheel and change was about to happen.
Change is about to happen.
Yes, change. I was hoping for some other kinds of change, but alas, 'twas not meant to
Well,
be.
since I knew Andre, I do have to say, once Laura was diagnosed with deep depression, he just wasn't the same anymore, and maybe that's why he was causing so many problems.
Well, doesn't excuse his behavior. However, that's why I kept checking on Miss Laura. She was staying in her room, she was not being social, and she had a horrid human being for a mate.
He was so upset about it that he stopped competing in his beloved model airplane competitions.
Oh, airplane competitions. Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
I will say Laura was always in her room. As a magician, I look out at the audience and I see who's there. And I didn't see her shining face in the audience. And I really do appreciate a good applause after my magic show. But she was not shining with enthusiasm, even there as she was depressed in her room.
Now, Valerie is one to talk about Laura, because I will admit we have never been good friends, Valerie and I, but it's no secret that there was bad blood between Valerie and Laura. Jealous, maybe?
I don't think so at all. Laura was my best friend. Now, we weren't as close as recently, but we were best friends.
Well, I see a croquet mallet in one picture, and I see wine glasses, and we saw the keys. Do you know if those are your keys?
I don't know if those are my keys.
Do you know?
I can't see the name.
Do you know whose croquet mallet that is?
I do not.
Do you know who croquet mallet that is?
I don't, but the croquet
Chords?
court would be up on the upper deck.
Carl, do you know about this croquet mallet?
I see it in that picture.
Okay. Well, I'm just.
Giselle, do you know about this croquet mallet?
I do not know about this croquet
Okay.
mallet.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Looks like it might be a murder weapon.
Giselle, do you know about the pills that seem to be falling out of the bottle spilled on the dresser?
I do not know. I mean, Laura was depressed, so maybe she was taking pills.
And this wine, there are 2 glasses. Does anybody know about them?
Yes, and it's a different bottle of wine than what we have in our first picture, or our second picture here.
Oh, there's 2 bottles of wine.
Yes.
Interesting.
Their last name is Tavern. Yay.
That is true.
That is true.
We own a winery.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
Giselle, you own a winery with your brother?
Yes.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Now, you felt very embarrassed by your brother's behavior.
It was horrific.
And
Agreed.
You told me that since he had set foot on the ship, he was even more agitated than usual. And it seems that there's something going on here. Can you explain a little bit about that?
I mean, I don't know specifics, but
You have great magical sensitivity, by the way.
why, thank you. You are a wonderful magician,
Yes.
Alberto.
It's a marvelous magician.
Marvelous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, Andre has been stressed lately, and Laura's been depressed, and I want him to sell the winery.
Okay. Sell the winery. Everyone ready for round 3?
Indeed.
All right.
The plot thickens.
Who has the star?
I do.
Okay, so after we're all ready, Valerie will start with the top paragraph. We have any questions, Larry, while we're waiting? We have some accusations, it looks like.
Well, I have to say, Carl has just not been on top of his game these days. I think it's because of his ex-wife. But yesterday, he was late for our Luxor excursion and kept everybody waiting. There's so many things I was hoping to visit and see on this cruise, and being late just
On the Nile.
I can't take it.
Yeah, the Nile is just so beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Indeed, I stopped to talk to Mr. Carl, however, at the coffee shop before we left for the excursion, but you kept all of us waiting, Carl.
I had just forgotten my camera. I couldn't exactly go to Luxor without it, could I?
So where were you?
Getting my camera. I don't believe. My theory.
Yeah, this is, now just so we're all in the time frame, this is the day before? Or this is before the magic show?
Yes.
The Luxor excursion
Yes.
Indeed.
happened before. And we were all waiting for Carl, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
As the cruise director, that was a very irksome experience.
So where were you when you saw him?
I was at the coffee shop. Well,
Were you drinking coffee?
Yeah, it might have a little something else in it.
Irish coffee?
Delicious. Helps get you up
I
in the
actually
morning.
saw you chatting with Carl at the coffee bar, got the coffee shop. Carl was more talkative than usual.
Indeed.
I mean, he's a man of few words.
Yep. He had gotten up early, and this I apologize. This happened before he kept us waiting for the
Correct.
excursion. So
And
we did talk.
I believe you're on your second cup of Irish coffee. Is that correct?
Some of us need lots of caffeine to keep a cruise going.
And I think you were actually bored about what Carl was saying, and you were just trying to get out of the conversation.
That's how I remember it.
Nothing personal. However, there's only so much movie theory that I can listen to, especially from a cynic.
What was the conversation about? Do you remember?
I do not.
Carl, do you remember?
I do not.
Remember, I had 2
Not at
cups
this
of coffee.
Coffee.
If I think about it, it might come to me later.
Okay.
Well, during the morning in Luxor, talking about Mr. Rami, I saw him sitting very close to Laura. Like 2 people would be sitting if they were on a date.
Is this come up before?
I mean, I was quite far away, I will admit, but it seemed like he was trying to kiss her.
No. Let me explain. Let me explain. There are plenty of angles that you might have been looking at that could make things look different than how they actually happened. Okay?
My third eye.
Is blind.
I trust what Giselle is saying.
I believe
Yeah,
you.
that would make sense with something I saw, because I saw Andre and Rami getting into a fight in the hallway. They were shouting. I had just been sitting down to write, and this shouting brought me into the hallway, and I had to go break up the fight.
This is true.
Tell us more.
So, let me backtrack. Now, well, by backtrack, I mean not go back on anything that I've said. Listen to me, and listen to me. What I'm saying is we need to rewind so that you understand the context of what was happening in that interaction.
Tell us the whole story.
Yes.
Not just the part that you want us to hear.
I'm not going to tell you just the part that you want to hear. Anyway, so the Mr. Andre was distraught. He could not find Laura. Now, remember, Laura would stay in her cabin. She
Yes.
was antisocial. She was
Depressed.
Yes. So,
popping
Mr.
pills.
Andre was always coming to me with all kinds of absurd requests, demands, whatever word
We've
we
heard
want
about
to use.
these towels.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he comes to me, he says that he can't find Laura. I am the cruise director. I want to make sure that everyone is having a good time on my cruise.
Sure.
So,
By
I look
kissing
around.
them?
Yeah, how good of a time?
Do you
Robbie?
see any lipstick on these lips? No.
You
All right.
probably wiped them off.
No. If anything, they'd be on a glass. So, anyway, I found her in the shadow of a temple column. Where is that? I'll tell you later.
At Luxor.
Yeah.
And here's the
on
thing. She
excursion.
was staring at a private plane and she seemed absolutely dumbfounded. Was just out of it. I was wondering, I mean, we see pills right there. Was she taking too many pills? It was not a case of any kind of mischievousness. It was full-blown concern. I go to her and I ask her what's going on. Andre, in the meantime, comes, sees us, and similar to you, thinks that he sees something that's not going on and starts shouting at me, saying things, and I'll admit, I lost my temper. I came at him, and that is when Mr. Carl stepped in and he broke us up. That is the story.
Now, you mentioned that Laura had some sort of reaction to a plane. Giselle, do you know anything more about this?
I do not.
Okay. What are you asking me?
I'm
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you about a plane.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this?
The plane? The
Yeah.
private plane?
Yes.
It was a small private plane and it was in flight.
Oh, so it was flying over.
Indeed.
Okay.
And what was her
Sounds
reaction?
like a prop.
She was dumbfounded.
Okay.
And she just seemed completely out of it, and she kept actually screaming. Actually, now that you mention it, yes, she was screaming. She was babbling nonsense. She was saying, "The plane, it's not responding. It's falling."
It's falling, but was it falling?
Not as far as I could see.
Interesting.
Maybe she was seeing into the future.
Yes, or the past.
You know,
Yeah, well, pills can do that to you.
examining the crime scene, it just occurred to me about that croquet mallet. After the excursion to Luxor, Valerie and Giselle went to play croquet together.
Ooh.
And Valerie, she says she can't stand Giselle, that she's crazy, but then she's always with her.
Well, I admit, when we got back from the excursion, I went with Valerie to do my favorite thing after tarot card reading, astrology, and the art of divination, which is play croquet. But I remember that I couldn't find my mallet that Andre had given to me. He gave it to me as a gift, and it has an image of an airplane printed on it. Well, anyway, during the game, Valerie told me that she was arguing with Carl because of Andre.
Who was arguing?
Valerie and Carl were arguing.
Oh, here's a better
and
picture.
Here is a
Oh,
close-up picture.
there we go.
of
There
the
is an
mallet.
airplane.
Ooh.
Your mallet was in the murder room?
I couldn't find it.
The murder room.
I couldn't find the
after you're done,
mallet.
we'll show the audience.
Valerie,
Dun,
I
dun.
had my mallet when we were playing.
Airplane on that.
All
it
right,
was missing.
so we have here dead Lara with a croquet mallet that has blood on it,
Yes,
with supposedly the croquet that was supposed to be Giselle's.
indeed.
Now, Giselle, you're telling me that you didn't know where your croquet mallet went. So how could you have played croquet?
I used one of the boat's lousy croquet mallets instead of my special mallet.
Sounds like something Andre would say. Insulting my cruise yet again.
A likely story.
I don't even know why Andre and Laura even came on this cruise at all. She was just in the cabin like almost the entire trip. I mean, Andre kept company with her there, but it was almost like he was there taking care of her instead of having a good time with her.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they were on the trip either. She seemed very depressed throughout this, and maybe the depression happened after the excursion. She was on the excursion, right? Oh, that's right. She was with you.
Yes.
And the depression happened after this.
No. She was frantic during that time. And she came on with medication. She wouldn't go onto the boat with medication if she weren't struggling.
You're saying that that's her
beforehand.
medication?
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
I knew her, but
Okay.
not as well as you guys assume.
Too bad we can ask Andre
Shoes.
about this croquet mallet.
Well, you know what?
It's a shame.
Andre drew a lot of negative energy to himself. It's never a good thing to displease a powerful magician like
Yeah.
Alberto the Magical.
Well,
Yes.
Andre had already debunked all of the magician's
I don't want to hear it.
tricks,
It's not about debunking.
and it was even in the newspaper. Alberto,
Yeah.
let's reveal clue 10.
Okay.
Oh! Very smooth.
I will read this out loud. Humiliation of Alberto the Magical in front of thousands of viewers. Magician humiliated by skeptics, the SKE skeptics, during the end of the year show. The magician had presented a mentalism act with the utmost pomposity, claiming to be endowed with paranormal powers, which I am.
Oh, yes. he is.
Andre Tavernier, president of Association of Skeptics, ridiculed him, I know, by successfully repeating the act and so revealing it to be nothing more than trickery. Given the scale of the embarrassment, Alberto the Magical will likely be withdrawing from further public performances. I had to stop performing in front of a live TV audience.
And you get a lot of money from those private ones, too.
I had to support myself.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, sounds like you support yourself quite well.
Yes. And we can pass it around. Yeah, very good.
How did
Okay.
that make you feel,
I felt
Alberto,
I felt-
to be debunked?
So this isn't the first time Andre has destroyed one of your tricks.
No, Andre loved trying to debunk magicians. When he ruined me during the live broadcast, he tried to replicate my amazing magic mentalism trick, but his performance was just a boorish trick, not mine, which was real magic.
Tell us about that trick that he debunked in that newspaper article.
My mentalism trick, it is amazing. I can't reveal any of my magical secrets, but what he did was nothing. It was nothing at all.
So, can you tell us why you allowed him to volunteer? Why would you call on him as a volunteer?
He loves to, first of all, I don't get to pick all my odds. I let anybody come up. And second of all, sometimes they put disguises on, and I don't know who these people are until they get up on stage. So
was Andre disguised when...
probably was. He probably was. I don't really recall at this time. So yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Did you have coffee?
No, I didn't have coffee. I don't need coffee. Yes. Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting indeed.
So upon returning from the excursion, Giselle came to see me. You remember us talking about this earlier from a previous story that we talked about when she paid me some money so I could read her the tarot
Yes,
cards.
private lessons.
Yes, she did come to see me privately. She was very agitated. She told me that she was worried about the fight that she had seen with her brother between you, Rami,
Yes.
and Andre, and then asked me to ask the stars about Laura's health. And I gave her an appointment in the afternoon.
And what were the results of this appointment?
I will tell you later.
Can you tell us what cards were revealed in the tarot reading?
No, but I think someone else might be, if you ask them.
Giselle, what cards were revealed during this?
That is private information that is between the cards and myself.
Yes.
Interesting.
Cynic. How do we get this out of her?
Does she have to give away secret information if we
If it's
ask her for
this
it?
round, not if it was previous rounds.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What if I don't think fast enough?
Yeah.
Then it's too late.
Does anybody else like to give any more information before we go to round 4?
Or ask any probing questions.
Probing questions.
Rami, I don't think you actually told us what you were doing with Laura.
I was consoling her. Now, I will admit, she was frantic. She was screaming at this plane. She was saying that it was falling. It's interesting that there was an airplane And there was an airplane on a croquet mallet.
Yes.
I'm wondering.
She saw the future. She saw the airplane coming towards her.
That would be horrific. However,
Now,
I was trying to console her. I might admit, I tried to grab onto her hands because she was shaking them so violently, and that's when Mr. Andre stepped in and saw us and assumed the worst.
Andre was part of a model airplane club. Is that what someone had said?
Okay. Sounds about
Oh,
right.
you remember?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that, or?
I don't really know much, although I do know it was one
Okay.
of his favorite things to do.
Oh, but he doesn't do it anymore.
No, not
Okay.
after
Not
his
after what?
Now that he's
relationship
dead.
with Laura.
Well, I know his.
Oh.
Oh, so Laura somehow stopped him from doing it.
He just was very wrapped up in her depression.
Okay. Well, why don't we move to round 4? There are 5 rounds, in case you're wondering. So if you don't want to be spoiled, we are getting closer to the end. And who is starting this round?
Who has
I
the
am.
star?
Okay, but not yet. Any questions from the peanut gallery, Larry?
Will thinks it's Kevin.
The magical magician?
Yep.
I was upset, but not enough to kill.
Alberto.
Who has the star?
Me. He already asked.
Oh, sorry. Missed that. I was busy
You're
reading.
It
busy
happens
reading.
to the best of us. Too much coffee.
So we still have a possibility of 6 clues that, depending on...
Some of them might have been locked behind secret
Yes.
information.
Yep.
Okay. Are we
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
So, I feel that there's explanations that need to be given
We've
to
been...
assuage your doubts here.
Yes.
Okay? So, shortly after 6 p.m., I did go to Laura's suite. Again, I was concerned. We had this very odd interaction with her screaming about the plane and saying it was falling down and
This is
crashing.
before the show.
Yes, it was after 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And remember, I wasn't at the show, so I was
Fine.
doing other things.
As a concerned party, I'm trying to get the timeline.
Indeed. Okay, so I went to the suite. I knocked. She opened the door, let me in. She was very upset. I could not figure out why.
Yeah.
And she was talking about tragic fates, misfortune. She was distraught all over again. I don't know if it was her medication or what. Now, I saw a bottle of liquor in the room. This bottle right here.
Okay.
I will admit, I thought it might be a good idea to help calm her nerves if we had a toast.
Okay.
So, I proposed that we make a toast together. I wanted to distract her from all of this doom and gloom that she was communicating. And unfortunately, I can be a bit of a klutz. I had too much coffee. And I
Irish
might have
coffee.
spilled all of it on the floor. So, I apologized. I told her I'd clean it up right away. And she said, and she said, don't worry. She was so sweet. She said, don't worry, she was tired. She went to the bedroom. Now, the croquet mallet that Giselle had, and she had told me about this. She had told me about her missing croquet mallet.
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
Yes, and this was the same one at the crime scene. It was there when I was there. I remember seeing it because of the airplane that was drawn
You saw the croquet mallet in their room?
Yes, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that she must have left it there when she had finished, or maybe Andre had borrowed it and she didn't even realize it. He was constantly taking things from the cruise without asking about
Andre
it.
was stealing things from the cruise ship?
Not stealing. He would take them and then put them back somewhere else. So, basically stealing, yes. Never mind. So, anyway, I'd seen I'd seen the croquet mallet, and when I was looking for something to clean up the
Okay.
wine, or I'm sorry, the liquor with.
That felt, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what I was doing there, but I left it there because how could I know? I'm not a psychic. I had no idea it was going to be used for ill means later.
Okay.
So, I feel I've spilled everything on the table. Hopefully,
This
that
goes
helps.
along with something I observed at 6 o'clock sharp.
Oh, this is...
Was when I saw Laura walk back into the cabin. I remember because I just found the perfect title for the opera I am writing.
Wait, you're writing something?
Yes, I'm a playwright. I
Yes,
don't know if I
didn't you
mentioned
know?
that.
Well, tell us more
Carl's
about
been
that.
working on
The
this
opera is
for a long
called
time.
Alibi.
Okay.
Oh.
How much of this opera have you completed?
So let me finish. Shortly after Mr. Rami entered, so shortly after 6 p.m. when Laura entered, Rami entered.
Which does?
Then Giselle, he didn't mention Giselle, but she entered. She came out almost immediately with a bewildered look on her face. And when he came out, Mr. Rami had a conspicuous stain on his shirt.
Oh.
Yes, I went to Laura's cabin. The door was open, and inside I saw this embarrassing scene of Mr. Rami kneeling in front of Laura, holding her hands, begging her about something. I was dumbfounded. I exited and closed the door. That must have been what you had seen.
And this, do you know?
Rami, tell us about
Yeah, tell us about the spill.
Yes.
What did you drop? Anything?
He
I
already
told you.
us.
I told you I dropped the liquor.
Okay.
It spilled everywhere.
Okay.
I had some on me, so I feel that has already been established.
Okay.
I told you that I went to her room to talk things over with her and make sure
Was there
that she could go.
More than just talking is what I'm asking.
Well, while I was cleaning up, I was on my hands and knees cleaning up, and when Giselle walked in, I was on one of them, and I was talking to Laura and begging her to talk with Andre and try to smooth things over. That's what happened. There, do you understand? Every time she sees something, she's a psychic, and yet every time she sees something, she didn't see it coming, and she runs away.
Well,
she does not even try to understand what's going on.
She did see things coming because in the afternoon, Giselle, remember, she came to see me with Laura actually, and we didn't. I don't know if you knew that, but Laura also came to see me with Giselle, so it wasn't totally private. It seemed that she was going through a very bad period. Laura was, and I felt the negative energy that Giselle was talking about. The tarot cards that were asked about, I do remember them.
Now.
I do
Oh,
remember.
interesting. So what were they?
I drew 3 tarot cards in this order: the Fool, the Hanged Man, and Death. And I knew the meaning was clear.
So what was the meaning?
Well, would you like to continue
Well.
on, Giselle? Because I have a meaning, but I think I talked to you about this.
Well, after leaving Alberto, Laura ran away crying after seeing those cards. The cards were against her, but Alberto, the kind, wonderful, magnanimous, magical magician that he is. Marvelous.
Yes.
He was kind enough
Yeah.
to sell me an infallible remedy, which I brought back to Laura's cabin.
Yes.
It was a magical potion.
Yes. Mesmerizing.
Obviously,
Yes,
this
that
didn't work.
Alberto had made for Andre.
Right.
And if Laura could get Andre to drink it, it would reveal the cause of the negative energies.
Yes. I do agree
Thank
with
you.
all of that.
Thank you, Alberto.
Did it taste like snake oil?
No. The mesmerizing magician, please. Mesmerizing.
Yes, mesmerizing.
Mesmerizing.
The
This-
magician Mooch.
Yes. Carl never did answer my question about this play or opera that you're writing.
Apparently it's an opera.
Okay. Can you tell us more about like how far you've gotten into this? How do you
I'm
actually...
about 4/5 of the way through.
Okay. And how are you actually supporting yourself and Valerie?
Am I supporting Valerie?
Well, you will be, I think, someday,
That's
I seem to think so.
right?
interesting.
So how are you going to financially support with this opera? Have you written anything or have gotten any kind of money from any of these books? Or are you just...
I think so.
I have not seen your name on any books, Carl.
Interesting.
Or
You would say that. Yes.
I kind of want to defend you, but I also don't want to. This is more
Let
entertaining.
me think about myself a little bit.
Well, all I know is I met Carl at one of the ASK conventions.
Right.
And
You fell in
we
love?
hit it off.
You fell in love with him. Can you tell us more about how this relationship's going?
Well, it's going much better than some of the other relationships I've had recently.
Okay. Oh, other relationships.
With Andre, perhaps?
Well, yes, Andre. Yes, Andre is no longer in my life, but
Obviously.
I did hear him talk often about how he worked in the field of model airplanes, and it was very fascinating, all of the information that he had. And I know at some point he just stopped competing, which seemed odd.
Yes, Andre was deeply connected to his passion of model airplanes. He was in many competitions and he always carried with him the last medal he won. He bragged about his skills, which seemed to annoy Carl a lot when he bragged about his model airplane skills.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was always talking about himself.
Here we
it was
go.
unbearable to be around him. He was constantly going on and on about his exploits in the field of model airplanes or his great intuition in finding charlatans.
So we have a medal here that you can see on camera. It is from March 4th, 1980. And we're in 82?
82.
So this is 2 years before at the Montebelliard, and he received first prize for something, so we can pass it around.
At least he was good at something other than whining.
Well, he wasn't good at whining because our winery was in trouble.
He was worse than my first wife,
Why, Carl,
Mesmeralda.
were you upset about this medal or plane or something like that? You were visibly upset?
Yes, he just always was talking about himself.
Do you make model airplanes as well?
I was annoyed by Andre. Bum bum bum. A while back, I had problems with the law. Completely unfounded problems. During a model airplane competition, the plot thickens. That's why it bothers me to hear about it. Of course, I have since proven my innocence.
Wait, so you're saying you were accused of something?
Wait, you were in
I
the
had
model
problems
airplane?
with the law, completely unfounded problems, during a model airplane
I
competition.
didn't say that you were convicted. I said, but you were accused of something.
Were you a competitor?
I don't know. It was during a model airplane competition.
Did you
Doesn't
know?
say I was a part of it.
Did you know Andre?
I don't know. It doesn't say that I was.
No, I don't think so
Because why, Valerie?
because I brought Carl to meet Andre
Okay.
on
Did-
this trip.
Didn't I say that this was the first time I'd met Andre?
It was the first time I thought you
I don't think
had
you're supposed to look
met.
at those cards.
We're not supposed to look at the ones we'd already done?
Oh yeah, all the ones you already done. Yeah, sure. But yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, this was the first time I had met Andre, but I knew him well enough already.
Yes.
Well, Andre
Sounds
was
sweet.
white in the face when he saw you.
So, after I had given the infallible magic remedy because of all the depression and headaches, I passed by Valerie and Andre. Were chatting on a bench. Do you remember this at all? Vaguely? Well, you seem to be deep in conversation, and Carl was a little further away from all this.
This Carl?
I was going to
Sorry,
say, are you
Carl,
pointing
sorry.
at me or are you
My
talking
bad.
to me?
Carl was a little further away, watching you. Now, remember, you guys were sort of together, but he's seeing another man in the picture, and he was visibly annoyed by all this, Valerie. And you were talking about a dead woman. Can you give us some more information about a dead woman? Like, what?
I don't have any information about a dead woman.
Did you hear about this dead woman, Carl?
Do you know anything about a dead
Not
woman?
at this time.
Okay. There's a dead...
All I know
And
is
this was before people had actually died on the cruise ship.
Interesting.
Maybe they were having a premonition. What do you think, Giselle?
It's
Or a
possible
plan.
maybe everyone is seeing the future because you're so magical. Did you give
Can I see
other
this clue?
people
Yeah.
magical potions?
No,
Just me.
just you. Just Giselle.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
all I know is
Snake oil for one.
after we came back on board the ship in early afternoon after the Luxor
Yes.
excursion, Giselle and I went to play croquet, and that's where she told me that Laura was very sick due to her depression.
Okay. I wish we had like some sort of like coroner's report to see like how these people died. Although
Well,
it seems pretty.
looks like Andre hit the
Hits
corner
whatever.
of the
of the
The
dresser.
desk, dresser, whatever.
And maybe someone hit Lara with a croquet mallet.
Which order did that happen in?
Maybe they killed each other. No, one of us did it.
I mean, interesting that you would instantly jump to one of us did it.
One of us did it. Definitely.
Interesting.
Did you figure out whose keys those were yet, Rami? Are those your keys?
There isn't a close-up. I can't tell. Is it possible? Sure. It's possible that that's where my keys were. I was in there. I was on my hands and knees cleaning up the spill.
That's true. You did spill. I forgot about that.
It is very possible that I lost my keys in the shuffle and I thought I left them in my cabin. However, there's not a close-up. I cannot see the name. And I haven't been back since.
Carl, were you jealous about what you saw Valerie and Andre talking?
Probably. But I think I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Is anybody else anything else to say?
I feel like somebody else had something that they were supposed to say that I was supposed to respond to.
Go for
But
it.
here's something I'm supposed to say. Certainly Valerie would never have treated herself with the magician's remedy to cure her depression.
Valerie or Lara?
It says Valerie.
Oh, it's probably supposed to be.
That's probably supposed to be Lara.
It says Valerie. I
Because
was like,
Valerie
I'm
did
not
it.
sure when I'm supposed to say this because nothing
Yeah,
anybody
that
else
sounds
is
like in this
saying.
Because we know about Lara.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Yeah.
So
Laura
it's
was
like-
depressed doors.
They're talking about some other remedies, but not with Valerie, so I don't know where this is going.
All right, are we on number 5?
Who's the star?
Tis I.
Okay, not yet.
So this is the last round of
Oh.
information of
Dun,
cards
dun,
that we're gonna
dun.
get. If you're watching this and you don't want to be spoiled, then you may want to stop watching. But after this round, we will make accusations about who is guilty and who is innocent, and we ourselves will figure out if our character is guilty or innocent. Because we don't know.
We don't know.
None of us
Bum,
know
bum,
at this point.
While they're all reading their cards, you can come see the side camera, and I can show you the Alberto the Magical Magician has some magic tricks for
That
you.
was mesmerizing magician.
It is the marvelous, mesmerizing, magical, marvelous magician.
Magnanimous
Magnificent.
mooch.
Yes. So I have 2 red balls here. As you can see, I can take the red balls, put one in this hand, and throw it over here. So now I have 2 over here. Watch again. Don't let me distract you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Cha 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 cha.
There you go. Magic.
Wow.
If only you could have used sleight of hand to get out of those chains.
I couldn't because Andre put the wrong padlock on.
And
Switched the
use
padlock
some
on me.
magic juju or something.
Yeah. Sorry, no.
You ready for the
Okay.
We are ready.
start? Let's go. In regards to my opera, I
Yes,
come
tell
up
us-
with the
Tell us
title.
about this opera, Carl.
All that was missing was the ending. I was distracted by Valerie coming out of Laura's cabin just before the show.
Wait. Oh, before the show, okay.
She was visibly shaken and didn't even look at me.
Oh, that's surprising.
Well, I went into the dining room before everybody else at 7:45. And when Giselle and Andre arrived together, they told me that Laura had stayed in the cabin because she wasn't feeling well. I thought I went to her to try and get her to come. Unfortunately, there was nothing I could do to convince her to come down to the show.
Yes, I thought it was kind of interesting that Valerie wanted to go to Laura's cabin, but she returned just before the start of the show without Laura. Carl, he joined us after the performance had already started.
Oh, he was late? He's always late.
Seems like a
Which
theme.
is an awful thing.
I agree.
Now, speaking of the ladies being in the room, so I was at the front desk. I was trying to find out what had happened to my keys. It's all coming back to me.
Okay.
I was trying to find out what happened to my keys. I was asking the front desk, but as I was doing this, I heard female voices arguing in the Tavernier suite. 2 female voices arguing. And the sound of the screaming, it reached all the way to the front desk. That's how loud it was.
Okay.
And speaking of the front desk, I was just handed this. So it was this note that reads, March 18th, 1982, Dr. Mukaiber Mahfouz, hopefully I didn't slaughter that too badly, Laura Tavernier died from a deep wound caused by a croquet mallet.
So we have the croquet mallet as the murder weapon.
Indeed, there are no obvious signs of a struggle. Perhaps the victim was stunned or otherwise incapacitated. Andre Tavernier has a head wound, not deep. From the evidence collected, however, it does not appear to be the cause of death. From the examination of the wounds on the bodies, it's possible to establish that Laura's death predates her husband's by a short time.
Okay.
Does anyone want to read this?
Yeah, we can just pass it around.
Now, I have
Can I
one
show
more
it
piece
now?
of information that I want to give.
Okay. Here we go.
Remember, I went and I helped Alberto out of the chains because he was humiliated.
I do remember that, Rami.
Indeed.
Yes.
He was furious after the fight with Mr. Tavernier, and he actually said the words he would take revenge for the threats Mr. Tavernier had made.
I can tell you more about that if you'd like.
By all means.
Yeah, so after I was reading the cards...
We never followed up.
For
We stormed
Laura.
off.
Yeah, well, for Laura, Andre did threaten me personally. Because he was telling me that if he ever caught me reading the tarot cards again for his wife, that he would throw me in the Nile. I mean, that was that. If you're talking about threatening, Andre threatened me. So, just letting you know, I was very distressed about all that, especially after I find out that he switched the padlocks on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you threaten him at all?
No, I did not threaten him, but you were very distracted that evening too. No wonder you lost your master key that evening. Oh look, Excelsa Cruise Director.
Okay.
We have keys, the master keys in the suite that match the picture.
Now, here's the thing. In the last round, I did acknowledge that those could be mine, and I had left them when I was down cleaning up the mess. And so, after piecing everything together, yep, I was at the front desk. I couldn't remember where they were, but it did occur to me that they were possibly in the room, and that's because that was the last place I remember having them.
But you were in that room a lot, Rami. Were you there because of more nefarious reasons?
Nefarious?
Yes.
I don't know.
Were you there?
So the answer to that is no. Were you there for malicious purposes, Mr. Magician?
I was not in that room. I could never be placed in that room because I was getting ready for my magic show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
However, it's possible that Laura was dead before the show occurred.
No, Laura came to the show.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
No.
Didn't she come?
No.
She didn't come to the show.
See, I didn't know that because I wasn't there.
Where were you?
Valerie went to
we
get
already just said
Laura
that's
right, Valerie
and
got-
didn't come back with her.
Okay.
You know, Valerie, she didn't take the engagement of Andre and Laura very well. I believe, I sense that she harbored resentment. Even though Andre did his utmost to restore balance between her and Laura, but lately things were different. So why would you go see Laura if you were on such bad terms with her? Why would you go try to convince her to come?
Well, Andre and you were there, and it made sense for us to join us as a group.
Yeah. Valerie never let go of the past. Laura and Andre were still a great source of frustration for her.
Laura and Andre were frustrated for your girlfriend?
For Valerie.
Were
yes.
you upset about that, Carl?
Probably.
Hard to argue with that logic.
Did you
Carl,
take... Did he take...
Carl told me
Oh, what did he tell you?
that his ex-wife died while they were on vacation.
Wait.
During the model airplane
You're
competition?
saying that Carl had a former wife?
Yes,
And she's dead?
yes, unfortunately. He said he thinks about her a lot, though, especially these days, while we're on vacation. I think it's an open wound that bothers him.
It is.
Carl,
Probably.
what can you tell us about your ex-wife?
My wife's death was a real tragedy. To this day, I'm still coming to terms with my past.
Oh, so you haven't gotten over
Oh,
this.
reveal clue number 8.
Remember, oh, acquitted. acquitted on the ground of insufficient evidence. Mr. Carl Block, investigated for the murder of his wife, Melanie DuPont, 4 months prior. The woman had been found lifeless in the hills of Montbéliard. That name sounds familiar.
The winery?
No.
The competition.
The competition.
The competition winery?
I don't think the
I'm
winery
just
was
joking.
The conditions that led to the woman's death caused by a serious head injury, the result of blunt force trauma, were never determined and remain mysterious.
Mysterious indeed. How do you feel about that being said about your man? Did you know this piece of information?
This is a lot to throw at
It is a lot.
That's
Carl.
a lot.
Carl, do you know any other information? And
I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything at this point.
if it's on a past card, then no. Past secret card. But I thought we had asked him about this competition, but we didn't know that he had a wife back then. So, interesting.
Interesting indeed.
So, what we're finding out is that Carl had a previous wife who has died of mysterious ways, suspected of murder, blunt force trauma, which looks very similar to some of the scene that we see here.
Indeed.
What do you all think about that? Rami?
Rami?
Yeah, what do you think about it?
I think that's incredibly suspicious. I'm seeing an MO.
Yeah, because you always think of motive, opportunity, and means.
Mom.
You do. You always think about mom. She always comes up in these things. Like, yeah, Melissa? I'm Giselle, sorry.
Yes, Giselle. Marvelous,
Jealous.
magnificent, mesmerizing Alberto. So it's already been mentioned
Magical.
that, yes, magical, so magical, that my brother Andre and I went to the dining room together, but Laura was not with us because she was still in shock over the fate that Alberto had revealed to her in his tarot cards, which proves that he is magical because that fate came true.
I'm very upset.
I can tell by the tone of your voice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you sound quite upset.
When I went to go talk to Laura, I did happen to offer my sleeping pills just to help her get over.
What?
They're just sleeping pills. They're
So,
not a narc.
didn't he mention something about, or was that, that was a drink. So you're,
No.
So these were not depression meds? They
No,
were
it
sleep-
was just
Valerie.
my sleeping pills, which she didn't hesitate to take. She took them. But at that point, I told her these are the same ones that I took when I found out about their affair,
Their affair?
Laura and Andre.
wait. So you're saying that
I broke up with Andre
because of Laura?
because of Laura and Andre's affair.
Interesting.
Which
While
makes
you were together.
sense.
Huh.
Does-
Why you would resent that. And how did that make you feel?
Well, she felt much better. Now remember, we were best friends. Don't forget that. We were best friends. And
Emphasis on
I
were.
didn't want, well, just because you're friends with somebody doesn't mean that you're feeling the best of each other every day. There's times
Yes.
where relationships will have ups and downs, and this just happened to be a down moment. Part of it was because of all of her depression. I tried to go and be a good friend and help her out.
Yeah, by giving her medication.
Well, we argued a little bit, and I slammed the door and left.
Okay.
Did you slam a croquet mallet to her head before slamming said door?
No.
It's very convincing. I am convinced.
I do have one other thing that I need to say. Giselle,
Yes.
I did ask for money, as you all have attested that you were thinking me of a greedy magician, but I have not even been paid by Giselle. A lot of this magical consulting business around the ship has just been, literally, has been doing it for pro bono, really. I'm afraid it's because of the downfall of the winery company. You must be broke. Can you tell us more about this?
I have nothing. We needed to sell the winery while we could. Thank you for making the potion and not even having me pay for it.
Yes, of course.
Was there a life insurance policy on Andre?
Because he charges for stuff.
I do.
He charges
But
a
he
lot
didn't
of money.
charge.
Yeah,
But he didn't
but he didn't charge for his
Giselle.
snake
Giselle
potion.
and I have a close relationship.
Giselle.
He's so magical.
Giselle, tell us about how your relationship with your brother was on these final days of his.
All right. Recently, Andre, he was making spiteful decisions. He was stubborn. He didn't want to sell the family business. He had this insane inquisition against magic and the pure souls who practice it.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
He was constantly crushing Laura. Oh, it pains me greatly, but karma cannot be ignored forever.
Yes, I bring delight to the audiences. I do not bring this death around. It is not good.
You just read the cards. You
Yes.
didn't make the cards.
I do not. I have to tell
This
you
just
what the...
seems highly suspicious that Andre, who, like myself, is very skeptical of all of this magic nonsense.
Well, you have three of you here. We have Andre, Carl, and you.
Well, just because we're skeptical of it doesn't mean that we've done anything wrong.
Am
But
I
it
skeptical
does
of it?
make
I think I'm
sense.
just cynical. And I hang out with skeptics.
It's the same in my book.
It does make sense that Giselle would be a little upset with her brother
Indeed.
for
I agree.
all of the acts against you.
That's why
And
he
tanking the
needed
winery.
to. That's
And
why
tanking the winery
he
and not
needed
wanting to
to
sell
drink
it.
the magical potion
Wine?
that you spilled.
Yeah.
Wait, I spilled?
Oh. Was that
That was the
what
magical potion? I thought it was a bottle of liquor.
No, you spilled magical potion all over the floor.
Good.
It smelled an
If
awful lot like
only
liquor.
he had been able to drink it, maybe this would have been avoided.
Yep.
Or
All the curse
he
would have gone
been
away.
Poisoned.
Indeed, because Andre didn't die from the head wound.
Yeah. But it wasn't the potion because you spilled it all over the place and had to clean it up.
Yeah. But it wasn't a potion.
It was a potion.
Yeah,
It's
a potion of death.
Magical remedy. Yes.
Of death.
Yes, but he didn't drink it.
Alberto, tell us what was in that potion.
It was a magical remedy of elixir to help him.
Die?
No, it was just to help him get better, to remove the curse.
Interesting.
Yes.
I believe that.
Oh, are we moving?
Is there
on?
anything else? or-
I do have a question because we have figured out that Carl may have had some connection with Andre because they both did model airplanes. His wife died at the place.
That's later when we do our final.
Okay, cool.
Do you actually have a question for
Well, I
this
didn't know
round?
if Carl, if you knew.
I think I already revealed everything.
Okay,
I mean, you already
Cool.
asked me. I revealed the secret this time.
cool.
This time.
This time. Ooh, this time.
So
Okay.
yes,
Sneaky.
anything
So,
else
I don't have
that
anything else to say.
needs to be revealed or any
Yeah, we
last
can go to
questions?
our final thoughts.
I have given full disclosure because I have nothing to hide.
Okay. Rami, I actually do believe you because you were there.
Oh, well, okay.
Sorry, I'll wait.
This phase, everyone look at your revelation card. This will tell you if you are guilty or innocent.
Okay.
After we do this,
Yes.
then we can go around the table doing the final questions,
Gotcha.
saying what you believe and
Gotcha.
how and why you are not
right.
guilty.
Okay. Who would like to begin?
Well, why don't you start?
I will start.
A star.
No, it's just we all have about a minute to give our defense and our accusations. So I do agree with you, Rami. Like I was saying earlier before I got really interrupted by point of order.
Yes.
You were there after the magic show helping me unhook my change. So, in every murder investigation we think of means and motive and opportunity. And there was maybe the the motive was there for a lot of us. We were really upset with Andre. Some reasons, I have other reasons for him trying to debunk you because of all the things he demanded of you. But there were no means for us to do that because we were together. So we have an alibi together. We couldn't have hit him over the head because you were there with me.
Well, I think we established that Andre wasn't really hit in the head, potentially.
Sorry, Laura.
Laura was hit in the head,
Laura
yes.
was in there. The opportunity was not there. The motive was there. So I agree that there was motive, but the means and the opportunity, I think we are together on this. That's my defense. Now, for my accusation, I would say I lean more towards this rivalry that Carl and Valerie would have. So I would lean towards one of the two of them. But maybe we'll just let other people talk first, and then we'll see.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you think that it wasn't me, because it wasn't.
Yes.
And yes, I was trying to help Laura, and it may not have always looked the way that it actually was. However,
I'm sensing that you felt more for Laura than you are letting on.
You went with the thing.
I mean, here's the thing. She reminded me a lot of my second wife. And she was delightful. There was Esmeralda, there was Esperanza, there was Deb, and then there was Laura, and I thought she was wonderful. My heart just went out to her, but she was taken. I was trying to help in whatever ways that I could. Andre and I had our disagreements, but it was never brought to murderous intent.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad about that, and that is my defense. I feel like you gave it for me as well. Yeah. As far as
who has the means, or do you think, to actually do this of the three that are?
So, I heard female voices shouting when I was at the front desk.
Okay.
That is not a good sign.
No.
So, I think it's possible that it was either Valerie or Giselle. That there was some sort of argument that was going on, taking place, and some things went down. How the potion figures in, I still am not exactly sure. Okay. But there were sleep meds in there.
But who bludgeoned Laura?
Who do I think bludgeoned Laura?
Yeah.
I think it was Giselle.
Oh, Giselle.
I would not use my own mallet to
That is kind of on the
bludgeon
nose.
someone. And
I suppose.
I didn't need to raise my hand against anyone. Fate did it instead. Not that I would have truly wished anything on anyone, but like I said, Andre had a negative energy about him, and karma came for him. I tried to save them with the magical potion.
We tried, but
I
someone
tried.
accidentally spilled it.
And someone...
But apparently this potion did not have... There was potential for this potion being something bad?
Well, I did have motive. But it was a magical remedy.
Alberto assured me that once the potion was drunk by Andre, that all would be right.
Yeah. I agree.
Interesting.
I agree. But
all would be right.
Yeah.
Suspicious indeed.
Yeah. I was thinking it was Alberto specifically because his magic isn't real.
Right.
And he did the tarot reading, and it was very much like, your husband's going to die. Or Andre's going to die, excuse me. Mm-hmm. But Rami apparently can vouch for your location.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it was sort of like an accomplice situation with you and Giselle. And Giselle actually did it because your location was...
Does Giselle have the strength to do it, is the question.
I think it's a matter of like leverage, right?
I think gravity factors in.
And she was incapacitated from sleeping pills?
Do you have...
Well, Valerie is the one who provided the sleeping pills.
Sleeping pills are not a medication.
But
to
how
be worried
many
about.
sleeping pills is the question.
Well, the same amount that I normally would take.
Do we know how many, or was it forced? Was she force fed the sleeping pills by someone?
No, she gladly took them.
But you were there when it happened.
Yes, I brought her the sleeping pills, as you recall.
I do recall that.
And I told her this is what I took to help myself feel better. Okay. and she took the same amount I did.
Did she
and,
take more later is the question.
Well, I don't know. She argued with me about her and Andre, and then
Ooh,
I
arguments.
left the room.
So were you the one that she was arguing with when I was at the front
well,
desk?
Maybe you overheard it. I don't think it was that overly loud.
I heard it at the front desk.
Well, maybe, but we were friends, and I offered her something to get through her
Friends.
troubles.
Friends, yes.
Interesting.
We also-
Rivals.
We also have this curious newspaper article about a past murder. So
Indeed.
the question is,
I
even
find
though
it very strange that Carl was the one that showed up late.
twice.
Yes.
He showed up late twice for the excursion, right?
And
Oh.
for the show.
And the
for
show.
and for the show.
Oh.
Giselle and I were
But I
already
led off
seated
with
with
that.
Andre.
That was like the first thing I said.
Yeah.
Was,
But so
was late
you have
writing my
opportunity,
play.
is what we're saying.
Did it happen before the show?
You all said it could have happened before the show.
I
but
followed.
Andre
I
was in the
followed
show.
Andre back
Okay,
after the show,
got you. So
and
you-
he slammed the door in my face.
Got you, okay.
And that's when I went to go find
Okay.
Mr. Rami, who I
Hmm.
couldn't find right away.
But he was with me. Yeah.
Likely story.
Rami was with me. I mean,
Are you throwing sus on both of us now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was trying to help me out with my padlocks.
But the good doctor did also say that Miss Laura was possibly incapacitated and killed before Andre.
Okay.
I don't know how to follow this. I've missed the chain of events somewhere.
But we do have some past experience with some plane thing going on, with Laura being depressed now because of seeing the plane and these visions and stuff, and we have Carl at the scene of the crime in two places.
This is true.
And Andre stopped flying planes for some reason.
So was there some jealousy? So that's the other thing. Motive opportunity means, like, why could you have killed
Why
Carl?
was Andre so upset when he saw you?
Yeah, why do you know?
I don't know.
'Cause it was obvious
I feel
that
weird
he-
that you know more information about me than I do. Like, are those things that were on your cards?
Yes.
She said them.
I missed that.
Yeah, she said it out loud.
How convenient for
How
you to not
convenient that
remember
you have
these pieces of
blocked
information.
that part of
They
your
weren't
memory.
on my cards.
Carl, if that is your name.
Interesting.
Well, and we also have connected the Montebelliard here with the Montebelliard medal.
Sure.
So we have made some connections that maybe there is some more to the story than you're leading on.
Maybe.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak, either in their defense or to throw shade on someone else at the moment? Before we go into our
I think it's time to vote.
Those of you watching, who do you think did it? Who is the murderer? Alberto, the
Magical, marvelous magician.
Valerie, the jilted previous lover? Rami, who maybe had a thing for Laura?
But loved coffee more than all.
Spiked coffee. Giselle, the sister who wanted him to sell the winery and didn't appreciate his debunking of the wonderful magician.
Yes.
Or Carl, the cynical opera writer who is late for everything and
Has a past history with someone dying.
All right, are we ready to vote? Who would like to count us
Alright.
down?
go for it.
Gosh, this
and
is
then
hard.
and then
Yes.
point to
Point to who you think the murderer is. 3, 2, 1, point. All right, so we have
Literally all
2
picked.
to Carl. We have 2 on Giselle and 1 on me.
Yep.
1 on me. We already had you already said that.
You've played this game before and it feels like you're trying to manipulate information. I don't trust you.
All right. Well, why don't we
I'm probably wrong, but still.
I am not guilty.
I am not guilty.
I am not guilty.
I am not guilty.
I'm guilty.
So you guys were being honest.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, I think is it in first person? Does he need to
I
read
think
it?
you need to read this, Carl.
Ah, okay.
The solution. Why did Carl do it?
The murderer is me, Carl Block. 2 years ago, my wife Melanie died in an accident. We were walking in the hills of Montbéliard, and I walked away from her for a short period of time. When I returned, I found her on the ground, lifeless. There was nothing to do. Next to his body.
Her.
Next to her body,
It's translated from French.
I
so-
noticed a
yeah.
small piece of metal that I meticulously placed in my backpack. I was acquitted of the murder charge, but that piece of metal began to haunt me. I did some investigating and ended up finding out that it was in fact a fragment of a modeled airplane. Montbéliard, where we were staying, hosted the National Model Airplane Championships, and so model airplanes flew often in the skies above us. I became convinced that Melanie was killed by a model airplane that escaped someone's control, perhaps during a training session. I found out that one of the winners had left before the conclusion of the week-long event. It was a certain Andre Tavernier. Tavernier. He had left the competition early on the very day of Melanie's accident. I decided to dig deep. After finding out that Andre was the president of Ask, I attended one of their conferences. There, I approached Valerie, his ex-girlfriend, to get to know the man more closely. I learned that Laura had been depressed for some time and that he was no longer the same. He had even stopped participating in competitions. I no longer had any doubts. The cruise was the perfect opportunity to take my revenge. Yesterday morning at breakfast, I stole the master key from Rami. He was in a daze, probably due to drinking too much, and had placed the key ring on the counter. When the guests got off the ship for the excursion to Luxor, I went back on board to put the first part of my plan into action.
Late. Dude, that's why you were late.
I took Giselle's croquet mallet and snuck into the Tavernier cabin to hide it in the service cabinet. Then, during the magician's performance, I waited for the right moment to enter the cabin and surprise Laura. I raised the bat and hit her. I wanted Andre to feel the same pain I had experienced, but I hadn't anticipated that Andre's heart might give out. I would have preferred that he continued to suffer as I am still suffering.
Snap.
Dun,
Dun,
thought it was
dun,
you and-
dun.
It's only gonna be one person.
Yeah.
I mean-
I thought it was Carl.
Yeah.
And
It
then
was
I
tough.
second guessed
So-
myself right
Well,
at the
you were
end.
making a really good case, but you guys had played this before. I was like, is he manipulating it or what's going on? So that it happens.
So
That
cool.
was a question.
Okay, so Valerie's pills were which we figured out
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
These were sleeping pills from Valerie. This was on one of your.
This was on round
Four.
4.
We
You
never
guys were
asked.
supposed to ask me
Okay.
about Andre, and nobody did.
So you guys asked me about the magical remedy one round too late.
Oh,
Yep. So you specifically asked. It was the previous round. It was arsenic in the potion.
that's. I had a feeling it was poisoned,
Yeah.
and
So you
that
were trying to kill
Giselle.
Oh, I told you I was I had motive.
Yeah,
But I didn't
interesting.
have
You just didn't
opportun-
pull it off.
Didn't pull it off because you spilled it.
Yep. Well. Yeah. You
I
think what happened
was an unwitting.
So the fool,
The fool.
the hanged man, and what was the third one?
Death.
And death. So
Okay.
there you go. That
And
is.
a dandy is also known as a fop, so that makes sense.
There you go. So that is Murder on the Nile. There are 2 other scenarios in Alibi that you can go check out and enjoy. I would recommend playing this at 5 players. There are ways to play at 4 and 6, but
Yeah, it modifies rules. There's a different deck that you use, but 5. If you play with 5, then you'll have 1 person for each character.
thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.